Yo, what's good, family? It's KimYaps here. I just want to say hi, how are you doing and stuff, and welcome to, I guess, episode 4 of KimYaps, but the first of the kind of episode that we're doing today. Today we are having Bible study. Yes, we are having Bible study, kids. Um, but yeah, if you're new here, welcome to the lab. If you've been rocking with me for the 4 episodes we've been in, you know how we do. We take the mask off. We are okay with going in deep with the messy of life. And, we try to find what God is trying to say to us through the noise. And today, we're going to go deeper. Like, what's the one thing, like the trench thing, like the Marina Trench deep, right? So I've been sitting with this test all week. If you are on the Bible app and you know what I'm saying, we friends on the Bible app, you've been seeing some of my notes on Ecclesiastes recently. And I've been in this gap year kind of grind right now. I'm training, I'm writing, I'm building my org. And when you're like in building phase, whether it's like you're an athlete trying to, like, say you're in college trying to get a roster spot, or you're an artist trying to finish a book, there is a lot of temptation to isolate, to go into like be into like one of like the monks, like a Tibetan monk, and like tell yourself, I gotta lock in, no distractions, and just me and the work. And to be honest, there's a place for that. Like if you know me, like one of the things, I like to disappear a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like disappearing is my thing. Like, you feel me? I'm gonna be in my children's life, but that milk joke, it could be scarier, you feel me? But nah. I've been in again Ecclesiastes, and today I'm gonna take y'all to chapter 4. And little introductions. This is Solomon, he's an ancient king. The Bible records him as being the wisest man to ever walk the earth. Is basically the guy who had all the money, all the power, all the talent. So you feel me? He did have all the women too, right? So look, he drops a bomb in chapter 4 that it it erodes the perception, or rather the fantasy that we put on the idea of a self-made man. And within this, we're going to talk about the kind of geometry that's within relationships. We're going to talk about the physics of the soul. We're going to look at why loneliness isn't just a feeling, but it's a failure, a structural failure, right? In your own life. So grab your coffee, grab your hot chocolate, well, hopefully you're not grabbing your liquor. And, you feel me? Grab some water and definitely record notes for this one. So let's get into the text. So let's start with Ecclesiastes 4, verses 7 and 8. Now, before we get into the part which most of my theologians know, the part everyone calls at weddings and things of that sort, we have to look at the other side of things. Now, Solomon paints a picture here that isn't pleasant. Like, bruh, like he said, look, again, I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. For whom am I toiling? He asked. And why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? This too is meaningless, a miserable business. So let's talk through that, right? So the Hebrew word Solomon uses for meaningless here, and let me go through my notes right quick. All right, is hevel. Now, we've talked about this before. If you are on like Bible app, right? Hevel doesn't mean pointless in the it doesn't mean pointless in a nihilistic sense. It translates to like it legitimately translates to vapor or smoke. It's something that looks solid, but when you grab it, your hand goes right through it. It's fleeting, like your knees getting out of bed. Like it's, it's something different, right? So Solomon sees this solitary man, and I want you to picture this guy and like 2025. He's probably like Andrew Tate out, like alpha, red pill, calls himself an alpha. Like this is the dude that we're talking about. He's the ultimate hustler. He's the guy on Instagram posting at 4 a.m. saying, while you sleep, I grind, right? He's a CEO who probably like sold his company for millions. Shoot, he's an athlete that holds all the records. But the text says something specific here. It says there was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. Now, to put a little context behind this, in the Hebrew culture, having a brother or a son wasn't just about family trees. It was about legacy. It was about the second. The Hebrew word for two is shanaim, I believe. Yeah, I think it's shanaim. You can quote me on that, right? It implies a duplication, reflection, if you will. And the man has no reflection. He has no one to catch the ball when he passes it. He is working endlessly, no end to his toil. But he wakes up one day, maybe he's 45, so maybe he's 80. And he asks the question nobody wants to ask: who am I doing this for? Or for my KJV folks, what am I doing this? Now, for me, I'd say the question, who am I doing this for, is scary, right? Because you're going through life. You see all these people that are dying around you. You see these people do this and do that, and they don't get to see the fruit of their labor sometimes. And we're so hard on ourselves, and we have all these goals and expectations for our lives that we don't even know how to fulfill. And it's all really illusion. We are doing it quite literally for the love of the game. But what is the love of the game if you don't want to play no more? Like, who are you doing this for? Right? And we are designed, like, spiritually, biologically, to be conduits. Now, if you don't know what a conduit is, it's a pipe. It's a thing that allows water to flow in and out. Now, if you block the outflow, the pipe bursts. This image of this solitary man, let's call him Billy, is taking everything in: wealth, status, accolades, but he has no who to pour into. He is a dead sea. Now, most people are like, why is the Dead Sea dead? Now, the Dead Sea is dead because water flows from the Jordan River, but nothing flows out. It just evaporates. It becomes salty and toxic. Solomon here calls it a miserable business. Now, the Hebrew word there is inyan, ra. Ra means evil or heavy, or for what would be a good word? Calamity. Calamitous, right? Yeah, calamitous. It's a bad deal. You traded your life for a pile of gold, and you're the only one sitting on top of it. And I think about this constantly. Like, boom, like say with company or basketball, I train every day. I'm working every day. I get my vert. I got 60 inch vert. Got my handle tight. Boom, shooting 90% from three. But I never joined a team. I go into my YMCA, empty gym, and I pay, play perfectly by myself. People like, where you play? Yada yada yada. And I'm left with nothing. Now, is that greatness? No, it's madness. It's hevel. It's smoke. Because the beauty of the game is the interaction. It's the pass, the screen, the defense, the energy transfer. So that means that verse 8 is the problem. The problem is isolation. Now, let's look at the solution. Verse 9. This is the shift. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. Simple, right? We hear this in kindergarten, the buddy system. But let's look at what the original text actually says. Two are better than one. Tovim ha shenaim min ha ekad. Now, I know y'all see that in Hebrew, but the word tov means good. But in Hebrew, tov is not, I wouldn't, yeah, it's not a moral judgment. It's a I wanna say functioning, but like a functional judgment. So, like in Genesis, when God creates the world, he says it is tov. Like it works, it fits, it's aligned with reality. When God sees Adam alone in the garden, he says, Lo tov. It is not good for man to be alone, right? So Solomon is echoing Genesis here. He's saying that the our good friend Billy is operating in a low tove state, a malfunctioning state. But two brings us back to tove, right? So when you're thinking about the Hebrew, I don't know when you're going to be thinking about this, because I don't even think about it sometimes, but maybe the Lord is just working for me. But when you think about it, God never said in English that would the world that he created was necessarily good. He said it works. It works perfectly. Everything, like even think about the natural disasters. As much as they impact people and as much as they're terrible for humanity, like they all work. They all flow through each other and work as one operating system, like it was made with a plan because it was. So that's just something to keep in mind. So when somebody says, when God created the world, he said it was good. Ah, look at my good world. That's not what God was saying. He was simply saying, it works. It works within the reality that I've created. So going back to what we were saying about Tove and the idea of two bringing us back to what is good, right? Then you have the verse, I think, where is it? Why am I not reading my Bible? Because they have a good return for their labor, right? So the word for return or reward here is sakar. It literally means a wage or a profit. It's a money term, right? Solomon is saying, look, do the math. If I work alone, my output is X. I know for my former algebra students, I know I'm sorry. I don't even mean to do you like this, right? But my output is X. If you work alone, your output is Y. But if we work together, the output isn't just X plus Y, it's X multiplied by Y. There is now synergy. There is now a surplus value that is created solely through the friction of collaboration. Now, sometimes I feel this with my brother, right? We were working on our storybook adventures of True Lies and Community Great. The project wouldn't have existed if it was just me. I have the writing, the poetry in my head, but without my brother's energy, without the back and forth, without the floating ideas, without the, hey, what if we did this? The idea it stays a ghost. The sakar, the profit, comes from the collision of two minds because a mind working alone is a lonely mind, and a lonely mind can only be filled with its own ideas. And if you're only filled with your own ideas, you are the judge, the jury, and the executioner with no other comparison. And that is no way to live. Because it applies to everything business, spirituality, fitness. You lift more when you have a spotter, not just because they help you lift the bar, but because their presence gives you the safety to push harder. You become stronger because someone else is watching. If we break it down to the literal physical sense, you can't make a baby with one person. in the pre-technological era. I don't know how y'all making babies with bone marrow. That is OD. But anywho, you can't make a baby with one person. The literal way to make a child is between a man and a woman coming together and legitimately becoming one, functioning together and igniting the idea of Tove, right? And it doesn't work any other way. Like there's no like, oh, maybe if I just think real hard, a baby will come out my butt. Like that's not gonna happen, right? And the two coming together and becoming one makes a good thing. Like the continuation of life can't happen without people working together, which is one of the central messages in Christianity overall. If we don't have each other, what do we have? We have nothing. And if God has taken himself, and you could even imagine or say he has separated himself into multiple people to adjoin to one purpose, why would God want to be separate from himself? Why would God say to himself, "Oh, self, I don't like you. You stepped on my toe when I was 5 years old. Now I hate you forever." Like that don't make no sense. That don't sound like the spirit of God, but that's how we live our lives because we are so focused on being in this crazy solitary confinement that we fail to realize that people, under God, of course, are our only hope. Now, going back to it, or rather the main point, you become stronger because someone else is watching. It's the good return. Now, going down, let's go down to verse 10, right? And this is the part where the text gets a little grittier, right? If either of them falls, one can help the other, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. This is one of my favorite verses in the Bible because it's a reminder that you need other people. There is nothing good, nothing that comes from doing things on your lonesome. The house you're sitting in right now didn't come from one person. The bed that you're laying in didn't come from one person. Now, one person may have made it, but it's through the collaboration of ideas that the thing that you now call home, the thing that you now call your comfort space is available. We need the friction. We need the togetherness, right? So, if they fall, right? Not when, but let's be real. It's real. Like, come on. The Hebrew word for fall here is, not my actually my notes for this one. Hold on. Is yapor, right? It can mean a physical stumble, but in the I guess you could call it like wisdom literature. It refers to calamity, a financial crash, if you will, a depressive episode, a moral failure, a tragedy. Now, Solomon is a realist. He knows that life comes with its twists, turns, pulls, and rejects, and you can't levitate through life forever. Eventually, you're gonna trip. And the deeper meaning is that resilience isn't an individual trait, it's a community trait. We love to talk about mental toughness. We tell athletes, you got to be tough, pick yourself up. And sure, there's truth to that. But Solomon says here, woe to him who is alone when he falls. Even the word woe in the Hebrew, which is lie, it's like lie da 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 da. I'm so sorry. It's a funeral cry. It's literally a sound of doom. Now, why is it doom? Because when you are down, and I don't mean down as like you can't pay your phone bill down. I mean like you on your last life in this game and ain't no more steps and you gotta find a final boss and your health is on one, right? It's the part of depression. It's the pit of depression or grief or failures when your perspective breaks. It's when you can't see the ladder. Your brain lies to you. It tells you this is it. This is the end. You're worthless. You need a second. You need that other person standing outside the pit to lower the rope. You need someone whose perspective isn't broken to loan you their eyes. I often think about this with my org, AFC, Artists and Athletes for Change. When we're trying to build this the infrastructure, right? There are days that I feel overwhelmed. I mean, the paperwork, the vision, the logistics, it feels heavy. If I was doing this alone, I would have burnt out already. And trust me, I almost did, right? But I have a team. I have Siddiqui, I have mom, I have my family, so many people that have poured in to me to give me the motivation to keep going. So when I fall into doubt, they don't just say, get up, they reach down. They remind me who I am, give me the motivation to keep going. Even the Hebrew phrase lift him up as Yakim. It is the root word for resurrection. Think about that. A friend doesn't just help you stand, they participate in your resurrection. They bring you back to life. That is the true spiritual work. If you don't have anyone who you can Yakim, you can stay dead in that pit forever, right? So now let's square back. Let's go to verse 11. Now, this one is it's not PG-13, but you feel me? It's a little something. But we gotta go there, right? So also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? So again, context. During the time, as you can imagine, it's winter right now. But imagine the days with no heaters. Travel was crazy. It was hecka cold if you were crossing the desert at night. The temperature could literally drop below freezing. And one of the things about hypothermia is it's one of those silent killers, right? It makes you sleepy. You just drift off and you never wake up. Trevor, like certain travelers, I forgot which paper I was reading, but they would sleep back to back. They would share body heat in order to survive the night. Now, here is Solomon. He's asking a question that's it's rhetorical. How can one keep warm alone? The answer simply is you can't. You'll freeze. Oh Lord. Now, bring this back to us in the 21st century. We have heaters. I was about to say theaters. We have North Face jackets. We don't freeze physically, but we right now, for man, we're experiencing a pandemic of spiritual hypothermia. People's hearts have gone cold. We are cynical. We have become numb. We scroll through socials and feel nothing like our dopamine, the part of our brain that is connected to our dopamine is so burnt out. It's crazy, right? Like even seeing tragedy, we feel nothing. We make fun of dead people, right? And we are constantly freezing to death. Dang! Oh Lord. Oh gosh. So wow. So sorry. We are freezing to death on the inside, right? And we know what the reason is. because we are lying down alone. Now, I don't mean you got to look at everything that, oh, Taff, she's trying to get crashed. Like, this is not an excuse to start crushing everything. That is not what I'm saying. I am not saying start crushing. Hey, yes, I'm looking at you. Don't take this as an excuse to start crushing because the warmth Solomon is talking about is vulnerability. To get warm from another person, you have to get close. You have to let your guard down. You can't wear armor and share body heat. Now, for men, I know this is hard. We are naturally taught to be stoic sometimes, right? Even from the women in our lives. Sometimes they judge us for being, I'm just flat out say it, too happy, right? Um, and the idea of needing warmth is weakness, not in its literal sense, but in its metaphorical sense. I don't need nobody. I'm cold. I am an ice cube, right? Bro, it doesn't make sense. You're dead. Like, life is heat, passion is heat, love is heat, and the physics of the world, the universe that we live in, makes sure that heat is generated through friction and proximity. If heat, you feel me? Why do you think? I don't know. This is for our married men. Hopefully married. Yes, I said it. If you're laying down with your girl, right? You got a blanket. She taking all the blanket because she want the heat. Now you gotta ask yourself, dang, it's mighty cold now that she released this blanket from my feet. Yes, get closer. Again, not an excuse to crash, but get closer. There's so much distance between us as a people. And I'm not just talking about in the romantic sense, but in the sense of life, right? We don't love each other anymore. And we are so focused on this facade of separation that we fail to realize that the only truth there is that we need each other. So don't remove yourself from the pile. You might be like, be a coal, right? If you take a coal out the fire and you set it on the sidewalk, what happens? It turns gray and goes cold in minutes. But if you put it back in the pile, it glows red again. Solomon is literally telling us what I just said. Do not remove yourself from the pile. You might think that the other coals are annoying. You might think that they're too close. You might think that they stink. But they are the only reason that you are still burning. And now we get to the climax. I know I've been yapping a lot and saying a lot of words and big words, and I know some of you don't understand. No, just play with y'all. Verse 12. Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. Now, a cord of three strands is not quickly broken. This, if I were to describe it, if scripture was, if scripture was a tattoo artist, and we have been receiving henna for the whole chapter, this would be the tattoo, right? So let's look at what Solomon is saying. Though one may be overpowered, the Hebrew word for overpowered is yekefo. It comes from tokef, which means force or seizure. Solomon is admitting that individually we are weak. I don't care how big you are. Life is bigger. Cancer is bigger. Grief is bigger. Depression is bigger. If life decides to tokef you and you are alone, sees you, and you are alone, you lose. It's simple physics. Two can defend themselves. Literally, two can stand against them. This is military language, back to back, shield to shield. You cover my blind spot, I cover yours. But then Solomon changes the math again. He goes from 1 to 2 to 3. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Why 3? Why not just stop at 2? Because a binary relationship, just me and you, is still unstable if I lean too hard on you. It's just me. If I lean too hard on you, you might collapse. If you lean too hard on me, I probably won't collapse, but I'll be leaning strong, right? We need a third point of what would a word for that be? Let's make up something. Triangulation, right? Trinity, right? Bring it back. And what I do know is like in engineering, the triangle is the strongest shape. It distributes weight perfectly on each side. So like in braiding, right? And this is where the cord, which is cut, like that would be, I think it's spelled like K. It's either KUT or KHUT, right? That's where the imagery comes in. If you take 3 strands and braid them, the friction between the strands locks them together. The strength of the rope isn't the sum of the threads, it's the structure of the weave. So the third strand is the one that is this transcendent one. It's God, right? It's the mission, it's the why. When I look at my relationship with my collaborators or my family, it's not just about us. We gonna eventually annoy each other, right? We gonna let each other down. We're going to be looking at each other like, now I know this mother, right? But if we are both looking at a third thing, if we are both looking at God, or we're both serving a higher purpose, then the tension pulls us tighter together instead of ripping us apart. So, what I'm getting at is that the deeper meaning, or what I'm really saying, is that God is the binding agent of human connection. You invite the eternal into the temporary relationship, and suddenly the relationship becomes durable. It becomes not quickly broken. Think about um what the crazy people be doing. The suspension things, right? You have I think you got like 2 pillars, right? 2 people. What holds the bridge up? The cables. And what holds the cables? The tension that is anchored in something solid, something deep. Hopefully not really on the bridge, but like I hope it's like in the earth. So if you try to build a bridge between 2 people without the anchor, without the third strand, the bridge sags. It will break apart and collapse under the weight of. I'm so sorry, I'm under the weather. It collapses under the weight of. Nah, I sound like a preacher. It collapses under the weight of expectation, right? So, what is this, man? We understand our friend Billy, the solitary man, the self-made man, and yeah, we've looked at the hero, we've looked at the philosophy, but I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the student, the athlete, the artist, the entrepreneur, the mother, the husband, the son, the daughter, the confused Christian, the black sliding Christian, the reconstructing Christian, the philosopher, the atheist. I'm talking to everybody. You might be in a time in your life where you feel like that solitary man. You're grinding, you're ambitious, you have these crazy dreams, and maybe you feel like nobody gets it. Maybe you feel like you have to be alone to succeed because other people slow you down. Now, what am I doing? I'm here to tell you that that is a lie. That is hevet. The self-made man is a myth. Every champion was coached, every rider was edited, every leader was supported. And you need somebody in order to get to where you're going. Now, you may not like the people that you have right now, and that's cool. Sometimes I don't like the people that I have, but you know what we do? We go out seeking. If you want this thing bad enough, if you see yourself in this position in your dreams and shoot, even in your nightmares, right? Like you are the controller of your destiny and no one else. If you choose to settle, that will be only your decision. So I'm gonna give you a challenge. Core check. That's what we're going to call it. I want you to look at your life and I want you to ask you, who helps you up? Going back to verse 10, do you have a person you could call at 2 a.m. when you fail? If not, you're in the danger zone. Two, who keeps you warm? Verse 11. Who do you let your guard down with? Who knows your fears, your troubles, your anxiety? Not just what people may see you as, right? And what is your third strand? Of course, talking about verse 12. Is your relationship anchored in something bigger than just hanging out, crushing, wasting time? Is God in the mix? Is a shared mission in the mix? If you are standing alone today, I want you to change that. I want you to make a move. Send a text, make a call, join a team, go to church, go to a club. Whatever you got to do to get out of the one mentality and into the two, because the truth is, you were never designed for this. You were not designed to carry the weight of your own existence. You were made for connection. You were made for the weave. Now, don't mean spend $500 on 5 weeks, but that's you get the point. God has put eternity in our hearts, but He also put the need for community in your DNA. So the lesson really is don't fight your design. But anywho, y'all, we're gonna wrap it up there. I hope this blessed you. I hope it shifted something in your spirit. And I want you to remember, Havel is smoke. It vanishes. But love, connection, impacts. That's the stuff that sticks. That's the stuff God seeks. Family, it has been Kim Yaps. Kimmy Knox. Stay wise. Stay warm. Stay connected. And remember, two are better than one. Jesus loves you.